So, listen to this. Samir Nasri is one of those players who could never quite decide whether he loved football or despised it. He had all the obsession of a football addict, so much so that reporters would go to him for thoughts on other teams' tactics because he seemed to know everything about everyone. But at the same time, he carried himself like a man counting down the days until he could walk away from the game for good. He was a genius on the pitch, a prodigy compared to Zidane and even Messi at times, yet he had a knack for self-destruction. He couldn't keep his mouth shut, made enemies everywhere, and seemed to thrive on conflict. In the end, his scandals burned hotter than his talent could shine, and the player who once promised to be France's next great footballing hero finished as one of the sport's most controversial figures. From the start, the hype was overwhelming. At just 9 years old, all of Marseille knew his name. He was the second coming of Zidane, born in the same part of town of Algerian descent, with a natural elegance on the ball that had coaches lining up. AC Milan practically begged Marseille to let the boy stay after he dazzled in a youth tournament, but Marseille fought to keep him. By 16, Nasri was running with Hatem Ben Arfa and Karim Benzema in what France hailed as the 87 generation, a crop of teenagers expected to dominate world football. And they started strong. At the under-17 Euros, Nasri scored in the semi-final against Portugal before blasting in a 30-yard winner in the final against Spain, a side that featured Piqué and Fabregas. With the French senior team crashing out of the Euros in humiliation, the nation turned its eyes to these kids. Overnight, they became the new hope. At Marseille, Nasri grew into a superstar. 6 managers came and went in his first 3 seasons, yet his trajectory never faltered. The fans crowned him the little prince of the velodrome. By 19, he was leading Ligue 1 in assists, outshining Ribéry and Cissé to win Marseille's Player of the Year award and taking home the league's Young Player of the Year trophy, handed to him personally by Zinedine Zidane. France fell head over heels for him. His face was plastered across newspapers, his name chanted in the stands. But there was already a darkness creeping. A bout of viral meningitis at just 20 years old left him bedridden and bitter. He realized how few people showed up to visit him and concluded that football relationships were shallow, transactional, fake. When he returned to the pitch, his game reached new heights: goals, assists, Champions League qualification. But his love for football itself seemed to sour. Marseille still adored him, and when he renewed his contract to secure them a bigger transfer payday, the city treated him like a king. But that would be the last time a club truly loved him. Inevitably, Arsène Wenger swooped in, paying $16 million to bring him to Arsenal. Nasri announced himself instantly, scoring 4 minutes into his debut and dismantling Manchester United with 2 goals. Wenger promised he could become the best player in the world. But almost immediately, drama followed. A feud with William Gallas, Arsenal's captain, spilled into the press, with Gallas branding him an insolent brat. Reports leaked that Nasri had no respect for team hierarchy. Fans still adored his flair, but inside the dressing room he was sowing discord. Injuries and inconsistency began to creep in, and while flashes of brilliance reminded everyone of his talent, his ego grew louder than his game. When Arsenal hesitated to meet his wage demands, Nasri took it personally. He claimed disrespect, accused the club of lacking ambition, and made it clear he wanted trophies, not promises. Manchester City arrived with a record-breaking contract and he bolted. Arsenal fans never forgave him. They labeled him Judas, a traitor, a cancer in the squad. Nasri only rubbed salt in the wound, declaring City fans were more passionate than Arsenal's and mocking his old club after winning the Premier League in dramatic fashion thanks to Aguero's last-minute goal. To Arsenal, his betrayal stung. To Nasri, it was vindication. But with Nasri, triumph never lasted long. His France career collapsed under the weight of his own temper. After scoring in the Euros and silencing journalists with a crude gesture, he launched into a foul-mouthed tirade following France's quarter-final exit. The federation banned him, and Deschamps eventually froze him out completely, calling him a destabilizing presence. Nasri, at just 25, announced his international retirement. At City, the cycle repeated. One season he was anonymous, the next he was dazzling, scoring, assisting, lifting another Premier League title. But Guardiola didn't have patience for Nasri's attitude or his fitness issues. He called him overweight, injury-prone, and shipped him out. Sevilla gave him a lifeline, only for Nasri to get caught in a doping scandal after visiting a shady clinic in Los Angeles. His girlfriend hacked his Twitter, his name was dragged through the mud, and his career began to crumble. Antalyaspor cut ties. West Ham demanded he shed weight before signing him. Anderlecht, under his old friend Company, admitted they regretted bringing him in before he even got fit. Everywhere he went, drama followed. By the time the pandemic hit, Nasri was finished. Football stopped, and so did he. Just a month into retirement, photos surfaced of him, bloated, unrecognizable, a shadow of the player once hailed as France's heir to Zidane. Samir Nasri's story is the story of wasted brilliance. A boy destined to carry the torch of a nation, who instead became infamous for arrogance, feuds, and self-destruction. He won 2 Premier League titles, dazzled with unforgettable goals, and left his mark on some of Europe's biggest clubs. Yet when people speak his name today, they don't remember the prodigy or the Prince of Marseille. They remember the scandals, the betrayals, the downfall. Nasri was the boy who had everything, and the man who threw it all away. So what do you think? Was Samir Nasri unfairly judged, or did he truly sabotage his own destiny? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for